Now let's today discuss about the CSS comments. So comments are used to explain the code and may help when you edit the source code at a later date. Okay, comments are ignored by browser. This we already know. But the same case that we have discussed in your HTML. So in CSS, a comment starts with a slash and star, and it ends with again star and slash. So it is same as your HTML. So for example, I can write, this is a comment line. Suppose I am writing this. So this is my CSS file. Okay, because we are not using any tags and all, we are not using style tags, anything else. Directly we are writing the element name and we are mentioning the property and its value. So this is my comment line. It starts with my slash and star and it ends with my star and slash. So whatever I write, I will be writing in between these two things will be comment line, and they will not be displayed in the browser. So why do we use comment lines? We basically use it to add comments wherever we want in the code. Okay, suppose this the person who is doing the coding, he can understand that okay, the color will be blue, but at a later stage, any person who is just going through the code, who does not have a full-fledged knowledge of CSS, so he may not understand what does this mean. For him or her, if a comment is written here like set text color to red, so this is a comment we have added. So this comment explains the meaning of this code. Okay, so this will be easier for the person who will be going through the code. So we can say that this enhances the readability of the code. So wherever it is required, we can add these comments. Okay, for spanning the multiple lines of our this comment can span to multiple lines. For example, that means I can write something like this, then I can continue my comments up to 3 lines and then end the comment. This is also possible. Okay, this is the same case what we have discussed in our HTML. Now coming to CSS colors. So colors are specified using predefined color names or using our RGB hexadecimal codes. This all we have already discussed. This is also your same as your HTML. So color names, they are also same. You can refer to the previous slides where you can go through these things and you can understand it. Okay, so what are different types of colors, what are their ranges, all these things we have already discussed. Next, coming to CSS background color. Okay, so we can set the background color of HTML elements, that we already know. So now using the CSS, if I am using CSS, so how can I use CSS? We already know that CSS can be used in 3 different ways: or inline type, internal type, or external type. Okay, if I am going for inline type, I can write it like this, h1. So h1 here is my header tag. Okay, we use it for writing a heading. So I can mention it like style then background color, suppose I want it to be maroon. Okay, so I'm mentioning the color name. Now I'm writing suppose hello world. I'm ending the heading tag. Similarly, suppose after that I am writing a paragraph. So again I am using the inline type CSS. since I'm mentioning the style tag within the HTML element itself, so that is my inline CSS. We have already discussed that. So here I am setting the paragraph color to be red. Okay, suppose I am writing, this is a welcome page. We welcome you all, and whatever you want to write. So this is how we are including the background color. Now coming to CSS text color. So what here we do, we set the color of the text. Okay, so now again, how do we set the color of the text? I can simply write h1 style, simply mention the color colon and whatever color you want. That's hello. So here also we are making the use of inline CSS. Okay, now coming to CSS border color. So here what we do, we set the border colors as it is very much visible from this heading. We set the border colors. So now how do we set that? So example is, suppose I am taking the heading, I want to set a border color. So I'll be writing here style, mention border, the property name is border. So 2 pixel, 3 pixel, 4 pixel, whatever you want, that we are writing. Then suppose I am mentioning it is to be solid red. Okay, now suppose we mention a hello and I am ending the tag. So here in my output, hello will be written, and what will happen? This hello will be having a border. So this border we are setting using this line. So border will be 2 pixel and it will be solid. So that means this will be a line, full line, not a dashed line. It will be a solid line of red color. Okay, since we have not mentioned the heading to be right or left or center aligned, so it will be taking its default settings. Now coming to CSS color values. So color values can be mentioned in RGB values, hexa values, HSV values, RGB values and HSLA values, which I have already told. So RGB we can write it like 255, 99 and 71. This is the way. Similarly hexadecimal code we can write. Okay, for HS1 we write it to be the percentage, how much percentage of color. Okay, so these type of things we can also write in our style tags, style attributes. For example, if I am writing for heading, so I can write style equal to background color. I can mention this as RGB. Suppose I am mentioning this value only, 255, 99, 71. So this is how I am mentioning the value of the color. Okay, so instead of writing this, I can also write it as any hexadecimal code, suppose FF6320. Okay, I can also write it as, instead of this I can mention like this. I can also mention my HS1 type, suppose 9, 100%, 64%. Okay, I can also mention it as my RGBA. I can use suppose 99, 71 and 0.5. This also I can write, or I can also write it as 64% I have written. Okay. So not only this, we can also use these 4 notations for mentioning the colors. Okay, now considering about the we have already discussed about the background colors. Okay, so you can set the background colors directly using your inline CSS, or we can also use our CSS files where we can mention the background color. So it's not necessary that we will be mentioning the background color only for heading or paragraph. I can also make use of div. If you remember that, we have already covered what it is in our previous slides. So I can also write it as div, then background color was blue. So this way also I can set the background color. Okay, so this is just an example I have written. Similarly, I can also mention the opacity or the transparency of the color. You must have seen that the background color, even if we are writing green, there are so many shades of green. Okay, so different shades of green, we can control them by using this opacity thing. So for that we can write div, because I am writing background color is suppose green, and I have taken. So I can mention the level of shade of green, like it will be very light, it will be very dark, it will be in between, or it will be just a little darker than the lighter shade of green. So those things can be controlled. That level of transparency, how transparent my green color will be looking, that can be controlled by this property. So I'll be writing, I can set the value 0.3, 0.5. Okay, so it is to be noted that when using the opacity property to add transparency to the background of an element, all of its child elements inherit the same transparency. Okay, so this can make the text inside a fully transparent element which is hard to read. Okay, this you need to remember. So about the borders we have already discussed, but just telling you about the different border styles. Okay, so border style property is there. We already used in our previous example, one of the previous examples. So border property, it allows to specify the style, width and color of the element's border. So it allows to specify the style, width color of the elements border. Okay, of the elements border. So now, so we have different types of borders. So different border styles are, one is our dotted, then dashed, solid. So this will be defining a dotted border, this will be defining a dashed border, a solid border. Similarly, we will be getting different types of borders. So double border will be getting by this double, then groove. This gives a 3D groove border. Okay, then ridge, so this will be giving me a 3D inside border, this will be giving me a 3D outside border. Okay, if I am writing none, that means there will be no border. Okay, similarly, if we are writing hidden, then the border will be there, but it will be hidden. Okay, so the border style property can have from 1 to 4 values. What are 1 to 4 values? That is for the top border, then right border, bottom border, and left border. Okay, now coming to CSS margins. So margin property are used to create space around elements, so that you will be getting a good look and feel. So this is basically used to create space around elements outside of any defined borders. Okay, so with CSS you have full control over the margins. So we can set the margin for each side of an element, like top, bottom, left and right, we can set it. So when we think of going for individual sides, so we can do that using your margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left. Okay, so all the margin properties can have the following values. They can have the values of auto. So here what happens, everything is dependent on, is left over to browser. So here the browser calculates the margin, so you don't need to take the tension about it. Second is your length. So it specifies a margin in your pixel, centimeter, etc. Okay, next we have percentage. So this specifies a margin in percentage of the width of the containing element. Okay, the next one is inherit. So this one, it specifies that the margin should be inherited from the parent element. Okay, so now let's just discuss an example. Suppose I have written a paragraph. So we usually give the margins for paragraphs. So for paragraph, I can write I'm setting the margin top, bottom, setting it to be 100 pixel. Then your right margin, and then left margin. Okay, so this is how we can mention the margins taking into consideration each sides. Okay, so now let's go to our CSS padding. So the CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element's content inside of any defined border. Okay, so you have full control over the padding. So the properties for setting the padding for each side of an element, that is top, right, bottom and left, that is done there. So whenever we go for padding of individual sides, okay, individual sides, so CSS has the properties for specifying the padding for each side of an element. As we were setting the margins, similarly we are having our padding top, then padding right, bottom and left. Okay, so all the padding properties, they can again have have the different values. Like one is your length, so this specifies the padding in next one is percentage, so this also specifies padding in percentage of the width of the containing element. And then next one is your inherit. Okay, this specifies that, same as we defined earlier for our margin, the padding should be inherited from the parent element. Okay, here also if I want to go for padding, same way I can write padding top, suppose I'm writing 50 pixel, then I'm writing padding right for 30, then padding bottom is 50, then padding left, suppose I am writing it to be 80. Okay, so this is how we mention it. Okay, I can also use just only the padding thing, like padding and element width. If I'm going for that, so the CSS width property specifies the width of the element's content area. Okay, the content area is the portion inside the padding, border and margin of an element, that is the box model. So for that I can mention it like div, I can mention the width, suppose 300 pixel. I can mention in 5 pixel. Okay, now coming to CSS height and width. So your height and width, these properties are used to set the height and width of an element. Okay, so height and width properties, they do not include padding, borders or margins. It sets the height or width of the area inside the padding, border and margin of an element. So height and width, these two can have these properties may have the following values, like one is your auto, so this is the default one. So here the browser will be calculating the height and width. The second is length, so it defines the height or width. This defines your height or width in pixels, centimeter, etc. Percentage, so it defines height and width in percent of the containing block. Okay, defines in percent of the containing block. Next is initial, so it, what does it does, it sets your height or width to its default value. So here the height and width will be inherited from its parent value. Okay, for example we can write in our, suppose external CSS file we are writing for a block, for a HTML block I use div, so I can mention the height, suppose 200 pixel, width is 50%, background color is suppose blue. Okay, so as a result a particular block of HTML will be having a height of 200 pixel, width will be accordingly 50%. Okay, and this background color, this will be blue. So we can also set the maximum width. So max width property is there. So this property is used to set the maximum width of an element. So it can be specified in length values like pixels, centimeter, etc., or in percent of the containing block, or set to none. Okay. So when we are setting to none, so that is default, which means there is no maximum width. So we can set the maximum width. So the this maximum width, this property overrides the width property. Okay. So when do we use this max width? So max width, it will improve the browser's handling of small windows. Those cases when we mention the max width, it gives us a better output. Okay. So till now we have discussed about CSS dimension properties. We had a discussion about height, then max height, max width. Similarly, we also have our min height, minimum width, and width. So all these properties, they deal with the dimension thing. To set the dimension, we use these types of properties. So these are the CSS properties. So next class we'll be discussing about the CSS box model. Thank you.